Remember, they're changing my voice. Before we get into Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, which we already did, then Malachi, which are the books from Micah leading up to the New Testament. I would like to remind you that people from the various churches, from various Jewish factions, have already conceded my point. They just do not obey God through me because they worship the devil, and they concede that their rebellion against my rule is a form of worshiping the devil where it matters most. This is key for you to understand. You'll see how these books overkill my interpretation of Revelation, which is the only logical interpretation. A core part of that is that God is in me, I am the gate, and people under my feet are being trampled, and God is handing them over to the scoundrels who will be punished more than they are going to be punished for their calculated rebellion and evil and refusal to obey God through me. So the darkness, the dust under his feet, the worm, in a sense, part of the fire that God allows to be lit, because the fire is God, and then there's other fires. Wickedness burns like a fire. That is these people punishing the people on earth. So now Micah 1. The word of the Lord came to Micah of Morsheth during the reigns of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. The vision he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem. Hear, you peoples, all of you, listen, earth, and all who live in it. And the sovereign Lord may bear witness against you, the Lord from his holy temple. Judgment against Samaria and Jerusalem. There's parallels between Sumeria and Samaria. The Sumerians are often called the Sumerians. Look, the Lord is coming from his dwelling place. He comes down and treads on the heights of the earth. The mountains melt beneath him, and the valleys split apart, like wax before the fire, like water rushing down a slope. All this because of Jacob's transgression, because of the sins of the people of Israel. What is Jacob's transgression? Oh, excuse me. No, I said it right. What is Jacob's transgression? Is it not Samaria? What is Judah's high place? Is it not Jerusalem? Therefore I will make Samaria a heap of rubble, a place for planting vineyards. I will pour her stones into the valley and lay bare her foundations. All her idols will be broken to pieces. All her temple gifts will be burned with fire. I will destroy all her images, since she gathered her gifts from the wages of prostitutes. As the wages of prostitutes, they will again be used again. Remember, everybody is forbidden to teach the Bible for a laundry list of reasons. One of them is that nobody rallied to me and made it so I had to read this stuff myself while being fumed and poisoned. God doesn't care, even in the slightest, if you are an expert on the Torah or the Bible or the Zohar or the Talmud or the Quran or the Kabbalah. God does not care about that. Those are mere books written by extremely flawed, mere mortals. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. It is a martial arts order, not a scribe order. Scribes who in Egypt didn't even have high status. Scribes who in Rome didn't even have high status. You think they convey the word of God when they're mere worms that work for emperors and assorted filth like that? Who among you doubts that I'm right? You'll see in these books that I talk about, Nahum, Micah, Habakkuk, you'll see, especially in Nahum, you'll see that it's definitively a warrior order. And I go over this again and again. I've been going on for years. The opposition view has been fleeing from their responsibility. If I am right, you must obey God through me. If I'm wrong, because my argument is the most logical, you must address it. I don't control the governments or the military or the police. Why do people hide like little girls, sucking their thumbs under a bed? Why do people resort to technology and try to twist things? You try to pretend those who are brave are scared and those who are scared are brave. It's pathetic. Right, anyway, where was I? Since she gathered her gifts from the wages of prostitutes, as the wages of prostitutes, they will again be used. Okay, the temple gifts will be burned in the fire. Okay, those of you, we look at it, the word house, right? Use, home. Second word is, the second word in that, second syllable is me. Obviously, it's not me. But again, That is part of the culture of the Romans. There's a bunch of prostitutes and a bunch of ruffians and bloodbath, temple cults, bloodbath Colosseum, bloodbath, Roman legions, just whores and bloodbath scum. And of course, they worship Zeus and Jupiter. Rather, Jupiter is the Roman version of Zeus, whose Middle Eastern equivalent is Baal. Could it be more straightforward that Western culture, which spread over the world, that spread Babylon's system more than any culture in the world, is clear cut, straight from Satan, according to their own book? And I'm born in America, but I do not have their culture. My culture, my kingdom, my martial arts are not of this world. They are not like any martial arts system in this world, nor were they past any martial arts system ever, especially not one of this world. Pretty straightforward. The next section is called Weeping and Mourning. Because of this, I will weep and wail. I will go about barefoot and naked. I will howl like a jackal and mourn like an owl. And moan like an owl. This is key here, because owl is the symbol of Athena. And they'll talk about in the other book, I believe it's, I want to say it's Nahum, where they moan like doves, the symbol of Athena. This is not a coincidence. You got to put it into context. Who's he talking to? He's talking to people who are familiar with these deities in a more ancient form than Rome. They're familiar with the deities that would become Athena, the deity and deities that would become Venus. They're familiar with the root of Roman treachery, as their offspring are guilty for not only their own treachery and their offspring's treachery, but the root of their treachery. Okay, so I was talking about how Samaria's plague is incurable. It has spread to Judah. It has reached the very gate of my people, even to Jerusalem itself. Now remember, this is a story. Are the Jews collectively as a people God's people? No. Are black people, white people, Asian people, you name it, any race on this planet? No. Okay, this is an idea superimposed on something else. Okay, it is a formula that has to do with universal pinpointing moral precision. I've been going over the Bible for years and years and years. Some of my videos go back like 10 years or so, maybe more than that, on YouTube of me reading the Bible. Okay, I've read it. I have countless notes. I assure you that it is a formula. When you crack the formula, it tells you what you should know already. Okay, that certain types of black people are the greatest martial artists ever, greatest warriors ever. No shit, right? We're not talking modern warfare here. We're talking about what matters most. Martial arts, man-to-man, 10 toes, natural combat. Okay? Swords, daggers, spears. It is a story where people all over the world superimpose their people on certain types of black people. Carlton, no. Michael Jordan, no, but closer. Okay, Mike Tyson, no. Muhammad Ali, no. A certain rare type of black person that certain people are reminiscent of. A key reason why these racist, jealous peoples all over the world sabotage Africans and make it so they're malnutrition to cover up the evidence. But there's still overwhelming evidence. Their attempt to cover that up is laughable. Pretty straightforward. Okay? So there's a plague, just like in Revelation 18, in Revelation in general. And you're not supposed to be a part of that plague. And it has to do with their culture, their breeding, their direction, their thinking, etc. Verse 10, tell it not in Gath, weep not at all. In Beth Ophrah, roll in the dust. Pass by naked and in shame, you who live in Sephir. Those who live in Zenon will not come out. Beth Ezel is in mourning. It no longer protects you. Okay, the word Gath, right, where Goliath is said to be from, sounds like the Hebrew for tell. Or Goliath is associated with Gath in 1 Samuel 17, one way or another. So it sounds like the Hebrew for tell. And Beth Ophrah means house of dust. Okay, so you see, notice how it says in Beth Ophrah, roll in the dust, and it means house of dust. So in the house of dust, roll in the dust. And again, the dust is being trampled, like trampling on the wine press. Okay? And it gets confusing because sometimes they use it to refer to the people of God being trampled by the wicked in a way that is not divine, in a way that is not impressive, in a way that does not earn them respect by anyone who's saying any great warrior. Only weird Revenge of the Nerds, only weirdos, Carltons, only weirdos would dream of giving someone respect for being some kind of Conan the Barbarian brute, some kind of nerd, some kind of weird Roman. Okay, pretty straightforward. Okay, so the wicked, they abuse a little kid. It's like trampling on that little kid. That little kid is going to be righteous later in life. Fortunately, I wasn't abused as a kid that way, but if that kid was going to be righteous later in life, that's a form of then trampling on the righteous, but it doesn't give them respect. Why? First and foremost, because it's sick and wrong. Now, it's sick and wrong to rob the righteous. It's sick and wrong to assault them. It's sick and wrong to cheat them. So any sin aimed at the righteous of any age is sick and wrong, and they are not truly trampling them. And that is key in understanding the Bible. Okay. Those who live in Maroth writhe in pain, waiting for relief, because disaster has come from the Lord, even to the gate of Jerusalem. You who live in Lachish, harness fast horses to the chariot. You are where the sin of daughter Zion began, for the transgressions of Israel were found in you. This has to do with what culture? Just like American culture is sinful, just like Russian, Chinese, the African countries' cultures, other than the Royal African Falcon martial art. We can go through the list. All the cultures of this world are evil and not to be adopted by people of God. Should these people be concerned with me saying this? No. Because of Isaiah 57, the righteous are taken away. I'm the last of my kind. This is the truth. People on some level know the truth. Should they start crying if I tell the truth? No. Okay, because even if people do rally to obey God through me, it's going to be a very short time in history. This is the most important time in history. They should just let me do what I'm doing and deal with anything they perceive to be an insult like a man and not like some crybaby saying, be quiet. You see what I'm saying? That's stupid, right? That's stupid. It's a disgrace to them and their families, their nations, their militaries, their martial arts schools, their schools in general, their religions, you name it, right? Pretty straightforward. Imagine having sex and being in the spirit of that sissy kind of spirit, saying, no, we want you to be quiet. It's fucking stupid, right? All right. Okay, you are where the sin of daughter began, for the transgressions of Israel found in you. Therefore, you will give parting gifts to Morosgath. The town of Askib will prove deceptive to the kings of Israel. I will bring a conqueror against you who live in Mareshah. The nobles of Israel will flee to Adullam. Shave your head in mourning for the children in whom you delight. Make yourself as bald as the vulture, for they will go from you into exile. The end of Micah 1.